At the T-minus 3-minute mark, tape recorders on board the spacecraft were turned on. These recorders record both voice and data.
Welcome back. It's the Radiator, the Rocket Shop. Once again, I'm your host, Tom Proctor. And with me now is John Fusco and the Crossroad Riders. Hello.
Hello there. Hey, Tom. Nice to be here.
Thank you so much for all coming in. I saw that there was a number of people in your group, but often when the number is that high, I just assume one or two people are coming up to represent. I'm so glad there's so many people here tonight.
Yeah, this is half the band.
Well, we usually like to start off by introducing who is here. So if you would like to go around, and if you're near a microphone, just lean in and introduce yourselves. That'd be great.
Sure, why don't we start with you, Cassandra, over there?
Sure, I'm Cassandra Nation, one of the singers.
Brickett Bailey, one of the singers.
Brad, Baby J. Jewett on the saxophone.
I'm Josh Klinger on trumpet and drums tonight.
Kurt Pearson on lead guitar.
Dennis Diego on bass guitar.
Mark Lavoie on mouthorgan.
John Fusco on the Hammond organ.
Wonderful. This is going to be great. I can't wait. Yeah, if you want to kick off with a song, what have you got for us?
Sure, we're gonna let's do something to warm up a bit. A little something from the Delta. Get muddy.
Yeah, I'm ready, ready as anybody can be. I'm ready, ready as anybody can be. Yeah. Well, I'm ready for you, ready. I hope you're ready for me. I got an axe and a pistol on a graveyard frame. Shoot tombstone bullets like a ball and chain. I drink TNT and I smoke dynamite. I hope some screwball try to start a fire. I'm ready, ready, ready as anybody can be. I'm ready for you, baby. I hope you're ready for me. Well, all you pretty women with your big wild hair, looking up at me like I ain't nowhere. Do me a favor, ma, come over here. I'll prove to you, baby, that I ain't no square, 'cause I'm ready, ready, ready as anybody can be. Well, I'm ready for you, Bill. I hope y'all ready for me. You ready, Kurt Pearson? Take it away, baby. Hey, what you got to say now? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Well, I've been drinking gin like never before. I feel so good. I want you to know. Have another drink. I wish you would. It takes a whole lot of loving to make me feel good. I'm ready. Ready as anybody can be. I'm ready for you, baby. I hope you're ready for me. That's what I say. I'm gonna say it again. I said I'm ready for you, baby. I hope you're ready for me. One more time, let's say. I said I'm ready for you. I hope you're ready for me. Hey, thank you. All right.
Wow, what an introduction. That was quite something. So, tell me how this great band got together.
Well, it's a wild story. I mean, it came together really organically. I was shooting a movie in New Orleans recently. I write and produce films, and I wound up in New Orleans doing this movie, The Highwaymen, with Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson. And so I found myself back in my old stomping grounds where I made my first movie years ago, Crossroads, the blues movie. And so suddenly I was back around all this great music, my music roots, and it reignited a real passion. And I ended up, once we wrapped, doing a solo drive across the Mississippi Delta, traveling through all my old music haunts, winding up in Memphis and getting together with some of the kids of my former music mentors who had now gone on to form the North Mississippi All-Stars. And a conversation turned into a jam session turned into a spontaneous album, and the album turned into this band, the Crossroad Riders. Meanwhile, back north here where I live, I kept one foot in music with this young generation of musicians like Bradley, Baby J, and Josh, and Cassandra. And they were really working with me, and I was teaching them some of the old blues and Americana traditions, and I was learning from them. It was a wonderful symbiotic thing. And so then I brought in some of the old school musicians from around the area, like Kurt and Dennis and Mark and Bill Trinkley. And we formed the northern chapter of the Crossroad Riders. So really, the band is 13-piece, but when you bring up our people from the South, Cody Dickinson, Reese Norman, it's like a 14-piece, 15-piece band. So it's a big, exciting musical experiment and project, and it's been a lot of fun.
It's rare to hear the sentence "a spontaneous album got created."
Yes, yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about that, because some people and ah about albums for literally years. Some people that say it's a first and only novel that they've been dying to create, and it takes them a long time to get into the studio. When you say spontaneous album, was it kind of just like, after one jam session, you guys are in and writing and creating everything?
So I'd been writing music, which I never stopped doing, really. But most of those songs over the years have evaporated. And this was a case where I had some songs, that were pretty fresh out of the oven, that I was still shaping. And that drive across the Mississippi Delta became a period where I had a lot of time to kind of sing through those songs, work through the lyrics, think them through, feeling that inspiration. And when I got together with the North Mississippi All-Stars and I sat at the organ in their studio and started playing, they said, "What is that?" And I said, "Oh, that's an original tune I'm working on." And Cody Dickinson jumped on the drums and we started jamming and we went through it. And he said, "I'm going to record that." And he did. And then he said, "What else you got?" And I did another one. And it just started building up. And he said, how much time do you have? How long are you going to be here in Memphis? And I said, "Hey, listen, man, I'll be here as long as you want me to. If you're feeling it, I'm feeling it." And Cody, his dad was Jim Dickinson, who was a music an ethnomusicologist like an Alan Lomax who was into preserving blues and Americana. And so Cody and Luther have taken that up. And so he saw it as it was just something that spoke to him. And he said, let's do the album. Let's just keep recording. So we did 4 straight days of recording. I went back home, jammed with these guys, went back down. I went down 3 times, and the album came together. So it was like a jam session that led into an album. And we're getting ready to do the second one at the end of this month.
Oh, wow. So when did that first one come out?
That came out in March.
Oh, so this is going to be a 2-album year for you.
Yeah. Well, it probably won't be released. It'll probably come out at the end of the year. But everyone here will be on that album, and many were on the first one. You could hear them on there. You mentioned the harmonica. It's
gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really it's unique in that it, and I think that's what the Crossroad Riders is all about. We're at this crossroads of these musical traditions, and when we play at Spruce Peak in November, the Southern chapter will be coming up to join us, and we'll all be on the stage for a big Mad Dogs and Englishmen type of rock and roll circus.
Well, you say, crossroads in kind of many different aspects, one of which is, you got the northern and the southern chapters. How do you both influence each other? It seems like you kind of got a foot in both camps on this one, yes. John. But how does the northern influence the south and the south influence the north, and how does that, and what gets created from that?
Well, I feel one of the unique things about where we are in northern Vermont is we're very close to Canada and Acadian musical traditions. And I see, a real link between the kind of Quebec, French Canadian music and the washboard, which you'll hear on our album, like electric washboard, and the Louisiana traditions. And so we want to work more and more on like kind of bridging that. I mean, the real North Country Acadian with the Louisiana Acadian sound. And it's a cool thing that you don't really get to hear a lot. The other thing is, the young players here help us push it into new directions. Josh is working on some, real experimental stuff. He's an excellent composer. I think the Vermont Symphony has done some of your original stuff. So, I mean, they're the young folks in this group are musically educated. They're theory people, and they've got really wild, exciting ideas. We're the old roadhouse, battle-scarred, road-tested veterans who are self-taught, and we're all about emotion. We're all about what Miles Davis says, where anyone could play the note, but it's the emotions that the guy playing the note is feeling. That's what it's all about. So it's been this wonderful, exciting symbiosis.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'd love to hear another song. What have you got for us?
We'll do one of our originals. This is something that in talking about New Orleans, my whole Southern music odyssey began when I was a teenager. I got into an argument with my father over the Hammond organ in the house. He wanted me to play in wedding bands. I wanted to play Southern roots music and rock and roll. And my friends would come and we'd sneak the organ out the back door, and he found it missing. Led to a big argument, and I ended up running away from home at 16 and found myself in New Orleans. And that led to this kind of track trying to hunt down obscure blues legends to try to get to the roots of the Allman Brothers and the Stones and what was really under it, what was the authentic stuff under it. So that led me down to New Orleans, where I had quite a few adventures and misadventures. And this is a true story about one of them. It's called Boogie on the Bayou.
All right. Take it away.
just turned 17. Found myself down in New Orleans. Never had a woman in my life. Her name was Evangeline. Said she was a Mardi Gras queen. Greenest eyes I'd seen in all my life. She said, honey, let me buy you a bowl of jambalaya. We gonna boogie on the bayou all night long. Baby boy, wanna try you. Oh, I wanna fly with you. We're gonna boogie on the bayou all night long. Oh yeah, man. She said, come on, let's leave this joint. All these tourists don't get the point. Here's my keys, baby, let's go for a ride. She took me down to St. Bernard where the Cajun boys sure party hard. She said, take my arm, baby, when we walk inside. She said, honey, let me buy you a bowl of jambalaya. We gonna boogie on the bayou all night long. Yeah. Baby boy, I wanna try you. Oh, I wanna fly with you. We gonna boogie on the bayou all night long. Yeah, that's how. Into the five do-do, they were playing woogie on a Zydeco. There was a guy at the bar drinking from a broken glass. Gator tattoo on his biceps. Remember that song, Give Me 3 Steps. Only took one to put me on my ass. So if you go down to New Orleans, beware of them Mardi Gras queens who look at you like you're nothing but some crawdad babe. They use you just to fit their plan to rile up the cheating man. You better run if you hear a woman say, hey, honey, let me buy you a bowl of jambalaya. We gon' boogie on the bayou all night long. That's what. Baby boy, I wanna try you. Oh, I wanna fly with you. Boogie on the bayou all night long. Oh yeah, that's right. It's rough down here on the bayou, man.
Boogie on the Bayou by John Fusco and the Crossroad Riders. That whole song started because it was a story about when you ran away when you were 17.
Yeah.
That was quite a story in itself. But you're a screenwriter by trade. So how much is your storytelling rooted in that screenwriting? How much is it rooted in the songs that you make? How much of a crossover is that?
It's a really great question. One of the things that Cody Dickinson said when we were having that spontaneous session down there was, he said, "Man, you write songs in 3 acts." And he said, "No, no one does that anymore. There's not a lot of narrative that beginning, and middle, and end."
Right.
And but I think songwriting has always informed my screenwriting, my narrative writing, and vice versa. Excuse me. Yeah. So I think it really comes down to what's the best medium to serve the particular story. And I find that is I write novels as well. There's some things that are meant to be a book, some things meant to be a long form TV series, others meant to be a film or a song.
Okay, and so do all your songs fit in the blues category as well, or do you ever come up with a song that's like in the same way that you write a story and you're like, well, that's a novel or that's a film? You ever write a song and well, actually, this one's a ballad?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have ballads, and there's ballads on the first album. There'll be quite a few more on the second one. But I think that there's definitely this thread that runs through that's rooted in the Americana. And I think it's the same with my narrative writing with films and television, that you can really trace this kind of thematic clay that informs it all.
Now, that last song was very much autobiographical.
Yeah.
When you are writing, is it a mixture of autobiographical and then other stories that fiction, or do you stay kind of true to what's happened in your life and your own feelings and thoughts?
No, I mean that makes up a large part of it, but also I can get into the head of someone else, someone I know, a friend who's going through certain things, and I can take on that persona and that empathy, and capture those feelings in that story. I mean, there are a lot of different approaches to the songwriting. I mean, sometimes the blues tradition has a lot to do with certain idioms that resonate with certain truths, and so I always have the radar out for those. For instance, my song "Drink Takes the Man" came out of an Irish drinking proverb and turned into a blues song.
I see. And what I really loved about both the tracks I've heard so far is how much room you give every musician here, it seems. When the whole lot of you is together, do you still manage to do that, or do these songs go on for 20 odd minutes? How does that work?
Yeah, we have a few that can go 17 minutes.
Looking at some of these faces, that's a definite yes.
I think there's a real synergy, and we never know. It's like just tonight. I mean, Bradley's never done sax on that one, but we just felt it coming up, and everybody's really generous. It's one of the I've played with a lot of bands in the past, and this band, it's just there's no egos. It's multi-generational, and everyone's real generous with each other, and kind of we feed off each other's energy. And
would you consider yourself a musician first and foremost, or a writer first and foremost? Or
a storyteller.
Storyteller.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of foot in both camps on that one.
Yeah.
And in terms of your own writing, do you need to be in a certain place or in a certain mood to sit down and write? And is it sometimes you sit down and write and you think you're about to write yourself a novel, and sometimes where you're sitting there a song comes out, or vice versa?
With my screenwriting and with the narrative writing, I'm really disciplined, and I start writing before 5 a.m. every morning. And I have a real blue-collar approach to it. I don't wait for certain moods or rainy days. It's like, it's like Jack London said, you go out with a club and you grab the story by the throat and you do it. But with songwriting, it's different. That's definitely something that I have give myself more freedom with, and I'll feel it. I'll be out on the farm doing something, and I get this feeling, and I come in and I sit at the piano, and the words and music tend to come together simultaneously, which I know is not often the case. It's a lot of times the lyrics come and you find the right tune. I sit with a feeling. There might be a certain theme, something on my mind, and it kind of comes together.
And with such a big band, do you once you've got that song together, how easy is it for it to get everyone in to kind of like put it down onto paper, if you will, not onto paper, but get it down, recorded, and get it tight and get it well practiced with so many of you? Yeah, well, I think everyone here in this room and our other 35 people, our other, actually the other half, 13 people in total. The important thing is they have to feel it. They have to really, I want them to feel the song and love it. And then to contribute, to bring in their own feeling. Like tonight, there was stuff happening on Boogie on the Bayou that was all brand new. But they know what the song's about, and they're, it's all a collaboration. It helps that everyone here is a fantastic musician, I suppose. Yeah, they're wonderful, wonderfully talented. And as I understand it, you got this gig in November, but you guys are playing up and around Vermont this summer? Yeah, August 24th, on a Saturday night, we're going to do our debut show at the Rusty Nail stage in Stowe. And it's going to be a barn burner. We're really excited about getting out there and playing. It's a great venue as well. Yeah, it's a really good stage. Very well suited to your kind of style of music as well. So yeah. That's gonna be a fantastic. We're gonna rock the mountain road. Do you have any other gigs after that, or is this kind of one we have September 28th? Yeah, Rocktoberfest in Morrisville. We're going to be playing right out in downtown Morrisville. Looking forward to that one. Outdoors right at the end of September. November 1, we're going to be at Arts Riot right around the corner as part of Vermont Farm Aid to benefit Salvation Farms from Morrisville, my home area. And in that show, different acts like Seth Yakovone is going to represent Neil Young. Blues for Breakfast will represent Bob Dylan. Someone will do Willie Nelson, and we're going to do Mellencamp. And we're going to have the fiddler Patrick Ross with us, and we're going to do a half-hour set of Mellencamp tunes, and all in the spirit of Farm Aid to raise funds for the Salvation Farms. And then we have Spruce Peak Performing Arts Center, November 23rd. We're playing with Dave Keller's Soul Review, and this is going to be a fundraiser for emergency first responders all in our area and throughout our part of Vermont. And that's called the Spruce Peak Blues and Soul Bash. And for that one, we have the Dickinsons from the North Mississippi All-Stars coming up, Reese Norman, singer from the Memphis Gospel Norman family, and Sarah Morrow from the Ray Charles Orchestra and Dr. John's band joining us on the trombone, joining the horn section. So that's going to be a killer show. Yeah, these all sound pretty amazing, actually. Yeah. I have to write these down in my diary. Well, we've only got about time for one more song, unfortunately. But what have you got to play us out? Well, you'd asked us about Brad. Maybe you hop on the drums for this one. So, and by the way, our drummer is in L.A. right now, and it's our horn players are doing the drums. What do you do? That's it. Oh, well, Bob's down for keeping this going for as long as we can. So, yeah, if he's down, I'm down. So you had asked about the kind of link between the North Country and the South, and I talked about the Acadian connection. This is a song I wrote about kind of a love letter to our neighbors up, over the border, and one of my favorite things that you have to head up there to really get the best of. A little song called Poutine.
Well, maybe you've been to Tucson to get you some agave blue. Maybe you've flown to China to get you the real wushu. Maybe you've been to London in the service of the Queen. God save the Queen. But you ain't really living this, I tell you. Got you some poutine. Where you talk about Atlanta and how you had the Georgia peach. Talk about the Turks and Caicos going naked on the beach. I'm going north of the Derby line. Yeah, fine road, that thing. You ain't really living best until you got you some poutine. Yeah. Poutine, man. Take it, Josh. Yeah. Where we talk about the border, we all think of Mexico. Dancing with El Chapo's daughter. Son, you better take that slow. I'm going north of the borderline to find my monchetti. My monchetti. You ain't really living this, I tell you. Got you some poutine. I say now, you ain't really living this, I tell you. Got you some poutine. Whoa, you ain't really living this, I tell you. Poutine.
Woo! Poutine there by John Fusco and the Crossroad Riders. Well, as we're sticking around, I've got a few more questions if, if
sure.
you guys want to keep going. So, John, is it my understanding that you grew up in Vermont then?
No, I actually grew up in rural Connecticut, although I know that sounds like an oxymoron to a lot of people, but back in the day when it was dirt roads in a certain area where I grew up, my dad had a fish camp in southern Vermont all my life, in Stockbridge on the Tweed River. And so at an early age, I kind of made up my mind to adopt Vermont as true home. So after a lot of travels through the South and kind of getting into the back door of film school in New York City and doing my time in LA, I came back around here, and this is home now, full time.
All right. And that kind of trip down south, and we've heard what kind of spurned it, and Did you pick New Orleans because of the music, or did you pick New Orleans because it's a hell of a great time to go down when you're 16 and live your best life?
I picked New Orleans because I originally headed down to North Florida to try to find the Allman Brothers, and of course, they were disbanded at that point. But when I took off, I just had this. I knew I wanted to go find the music. I wanted to head toward Mecca, and I made a direct beeline hitchhiking down south to go find the Rec Bar in Daytona Beach, just to see where the Allman Brothers played their first gig. And that's when I knew the music gods were watching over me, because on the second night that I went there, I heard all these motorcycles outside, and I had asked the bartender what was going on. And he said, "Hey, you've been coming around here asking questions about Greg Allman. I think it's your lucky night." And Greg walked into the bar, and he ended up getting up and playing with a band called Mama's Pride. I spoke with him. I had befriended a guy from Holland during that runaway trip, the poor guy, because he was on a vacation from the military, and I was a runaway, but he wouldn't leave me. I at a certain point, I said, "You got to just go," and he's like, "No, I'll hang with you." And one night we were walking back from the Rec Bar, and two police cars drove by, two Daytona police cars, and he started running down the sidewalk. I didn't know why. I mean, no, he had wooden shoes on. Okay, and these wooden shoes are clicking down the sidewalk, and he went running. The police cars turned on the lights. So I go to find my friend, what's going on? They turn the corner, and he's digging in someone's flower garden and burying something. And so the police had found that he had some Dutch horticulture, and so he was given a citation. He had a court date, was supposed to show up, and he had come to me and said, "We got to get out of here." And he ended up buying a Kawasaki motorcycle with the last of his traveler's checks, and we took off, and that's how we wound up in New Orleans.
That's quite an entrance to make into a new city.
He had said to me, "Where do we go?" And I said, "New Orleans, the next music mecca."
You mentioned in your bio that you're really keen on bringing your music and your sound to the next generation, as you're showing tonight. What from your generation's music? I wouldn't even say your generation's music. I think you play music from the generation above you, really. Yes. Well, what about that music can you bring to the next generation, and what are the younger people in the band bringing to your music?
Well, maybe some of you younger guys can talk about what you've been finding in this music. And Brad, what is it about Americana and the blues and the stuff we've been doing that appeals to you as a musician?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I'm a student at UVM. I actually took a course on the history of the blues, and I had to write a couple essays about what that kind of music meant to me. And it can be hard this day and age, because we're in some respects we're in very tumultuous times culturally in this country, but it's kind of a nice bridge, I think, for a part of this country I've never been to. I definitely need to check out, but it versus things up here in Vermont where you can be at times very isolated and sort of doing your own thing. So gave me a really good perspective on things, and I think it's teaches you about a different life, live somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think that as I had mentioned with the younger part of our group, that they are very educated musically, and they understand theory, and I get so excited watching them do horn charts. Coming in and breaking down horn parts. We go by feel, and they do too. They do too now, but they're just they've opened up a lot of doors and avenues, saying, "Hey, well, what if we do a key change there and take it out?" And like, would that really work? Doesn't that violate the structure? It's like, no, because technically, if you go on a circle of fifths, like whoa, so
where you master the music.
Yeah. And I remember early on I said, so I know we're doing a lot of the blue, we're doing Sonny Terry and Muddy Waters and a lot of traditional Americana stuff. What do you guys, is there something that we're not doing that you guys want to do? And they're like, no, we just keep bringing it on. This is what we wanted to work on right now.
And to the young people, what are the kind of music you guys dabble in? Is it primarily blues, or are you working with anything else at the moment?
Josh, why don't you What you
Yeah, I
been
mean,
doing?
I've been doing.
This is Josh Klinger here from.
I do a little bit of everything. Worked on a blues piece with Cassie and John and Bradley a few months back, but I also do a lot of electronic dance music and some hip hop stuff and a lot of stuff in the studio and in the electronic world, which is a lot of fun to kind of bring in here. Sometimes we have a little electronic pad that we bring to rehearsal, and I play the bongos on that. Sometimes we do a lot of really, kind of bringing modern technology into the older blues world, which is really, crossing everything that we can.
Right, I've seen a lot of some good blues electro mashups, as well as some really good use of loops.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and that can be tricky in a live band and setting, and especially the older folks who like to feel the tempo and to change the tempo a lot. So when you're bringing in the newer elements of computers, everything is on a metronome. So you have to find ways to kind of, change the metronome, either tapping in the tempo with them in real time, not setting presets. You still have to bring the feeling into the computers, which is, for me, it's been really fascinating to kind of get that. So
yeah. Absolutely.
I think there's another element in this band, and that's we have a musical theater background that Brickett Bailey brings here. So, we call our singing group. There are two other lady singers who aren't here tonight. We call them Brickett Bailey and the Bailey Hazen Singers. And the Cassandra comes from musical theater, and she's doing a lot of stuff now. Cassandra, why don't you talk about some of the musical stuff you're into right now, whether theater or...
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of theater in the summertime, a lot of musical theater, but just being a part of this group and this band has really opened my eyes as far as learning to be a storyteller, and kind of building on that. And I'm more connected to this music, to the blues. I connect to the old crooners. I connect to Frank Sinatra, Aretha Franklin, Tony Bennett. I just saw Tony Bennett at the Flynn last weekend. So really, I just started bawling when he came out, just because such an influence, really. So this music is just amazing, and it's wonderful to mix the generations and to bring this to the new generation, or the younger generation, even younger than us, and bringing that music back to life.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of new blues music, there's a few things kicking around. There's like Leon Bridges and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Are you earnestly trying to get into that market, or for you is this a passion project? Is this
it's totally passion. It's and that's what I love about it. It's just a pure organic musical collaboration, but with the new blues music. And I think something that has really informed our sound and what we're doing does come from my partners in the North Mississippi All Stars, who are pushing the blues. They're keeping it alive like their dad did for so long, but they're pushing it into new directions, and they can get really, really edgy. And so that has, obviously it's going to it informed the album, because that's why I brought hip hop into my rendition of Crossroad Blues. I brought in El Capone, from Hustle and Flow, 3-6 Mafia. He was the original Memphis pioneer rapper. And I wrote the arrangement of Crossroads, and because I felt if I was going to do that, I had to take it somewhere else. I picked up a cue from the North Mississippi All Stars when I saw them bringing in rappers, and I said, let's bring in hip hop in there. So I feel that we're not just doing a tribute to the old stuff. We are pushing it into new direction.
Is that something you're looking to continue doing in the next album?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
But after listening to who else you're going to be collaborating with this summer, I'm very excited to...
It's always a surprise, yeah. We just, I get down there in Memphis, and I'm with Cody, and he's like, hey, who's in town? And say, oh, they come over? Yeah, so...
Apparently you're obviously a magnet for various other talented people to come in.
I'll tell you what, The Passport is my movie Crossroads. That was my first movie, and it's become a musician's cult film. And all I have to do is mention Crossroads, and I feel so grateful and moved when I realize how many of today's great blues guitarists and players, from Johnny Lang to Devin Allman, Dwayne Betts, Bonamassa, you go right down the line, you read their interviews, and they say, so when did you start in the blues? They said, I saw this movie in the 80s, Crossroads. And to me, it's like, wow, there's a lot about that movie didn't reflect my script 100%, but it did light a fuse for a new generation of blues guitarists. So that's the passport, and that's the so Cody will get on the phone and say, "Hey, remember the movie Crossroads? The guy who wrote it said, oh, yeah, I'll be right up." So, yeah.
So that's your advice. We should all go out, write our own Crossroads, get it made, and then
Well, you've got to go live it first.
Well, I'd love to hear one last song. You guys have been absolutely phenomenal, by the way. Thank you so much for coming in. This has been an absolute delight. One of the highlights of my summer. So.
Oh, thank you, Tom. We really appreciate it. It's a great venue. We love what you're doing, with Rocket Shop and Big Heavy World, and it's a really cool venue. We're having a good time. So why don't we take it with what we'd like to do is we did a few originals, and now we'll go back to the traditions, and we're going to do a little Texas blues shuffle. And what's cool about this song is that this song really represents the transition from blues music of the 1940s to blues rock of the 1960s. So, what we got on drums? Oh, okay.
He's back.
Further on. Oh, yeah, we'll do a little further on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Further on, yeah. Down, Mark. Further on, yeah.
Farther on up the road, someone's gonna hurt you like you hurt me. Farther on up the road, someone's gonna hurt you like you hurt me. And further on up the road, baby, just you wait and see.
You gotta reap just what you sow.
You gotta reap what you sow.
That old saying is true.
You gotta reap what you sow.
You gotta reap just what you sow. That old saying is true. Baby, if you mistreat someone gonna mistreat you.
You've been laughing, pretty baby. Someday you're gonna be crying. You've been laughing, pretty baby. Someday you're gonna be crying. You've been laughing, pretty baby. Someday you're gonna cry. Further on up the road, someone's gonna hurt you like you hurt me. Further on up the road, someone's gonna hurt you like you hurt me. Further on up the road, just you wait and see.
Baby J.
Hey.
John Fusco and the Crossroad Riders. Guys, thank you so much once again for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
It's been an absolute blast.
Great time.
Anytime. Check us out next week. We have got Sabrina Kamalas and About Time coming on. So that'll be next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. This has been The Rocket Shop. I've been your host, Tom Proctor. Good night.